Hi, how you doing? You know me, I'm Tom. I've been painting since I'm about 14 years old. I've always wanted to do a live stream like this. Not always, I guess, for the past couple of years. So we're gonna get started right away. So the first thing that I want to do, I'm gonna try to hold my palette up. I hope everybody can see this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the product here called not Gamsol, it's a Gamblin. It's a solvent-free gel. I don't know, hopefully you can see this too. And so what I'm going to do is I have a little bit of white paint right here. So I'm going to take about an equal portion of white paint and I'm just going to mix it with that gel. And what's going to happen, and you're probably not going to see this too well, but that mixture is going to take a very thick white paint and it's going to thin it down. And once I have that on the brush, I'm going to go and I'm going to try to determine exactly where I want my sky to be. And what I'm going to do is take that paint and I'm just going to put a nice thin coat only in the place where I think my sky is going to be. Again, the reason why, I'll go about halfway. I think my horizon line is going to be somewhere around here. So this is the spot that I'm going to stop, right here. And I should tell you, I'm using a very limited palette today. I'm only using 4 colors and white. So you can see that right here. I might as well just run through them now. I've got titanium white here. This is a color called Phthalo Blue, and it starts with a P. Phthalo with a P. Then I've got Dyke Brown. I've got Sap Green. And then I've got a color here called Cadmium Yellow. And again, I'll link all of these and I'll show you exactly where to get them, because you should really try this. It's a lot of fun. You can really do this. Anybody can do this. So I'll go into my blue, and like I said before, we put this white mixture on the canvas because, like I said, I like my sky to start off a little bit darker up top and fade into a white at the bottom. And the reason why is I'm actually going to add just a little bit of white in here. I think that's already a little bit too bright for me. And the reason why I like to do that is very simple. When you're looking at a sky, as you look toward the horizon is further away. It's much further away from you than if you're looking straight up. And there's a lot of what they call atmosphere in the sky. And as you look away, the colors tend to get lighter in value. So when you're looking at a landscape, if you don't have that effect, it looks flat. It doesn't give you that feeling of depth. So right off the bat, you can see that this is a lot darker up here than it is down here, which is great. That's what we want. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to take another brush. I use a 2-inch brush for this. This is what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend this out now. And what you do is now, without any paint whatsoever, dry. Make sure it's nice and dry. What you'll do is you go to the top, or you could start at the bottom. Actually, you know what? I'll start at the bottom because I want it to be light down here. So if I start doing these little strokes right here, these little X's, almost like an airbrush. Just going to pull a little paint off. And now once you do that, you can just go right back and forth, right back and forth. And now you've got this really beautiful sky right there. Every once in a while, you'll get a little hair that comes off of your brush. You can just pop them off. So I'm going to take my palette knife, and I'm going to take the 3 dark colors that I have here. Not all of them, but most of it. We'll take about half of this. I'm going to use a little bit of the brown. I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to use just a little bit of the green. Right here. You know, mostly blue and green. And I'm going to mix a little pile of nonsense right here. Just a little pile of nonsense. And this is going to be the base color. Yeah, I can already see that. I don't know if you can see that, but I can kind of see I've never lit my palette up like this before. But that's a pretty nice color. Maybe just a little bit more brown just to dull it up. Here's what I can do. I'm going to take that color and way down here, right? Can you see this? Way down here. I'm just going to put a little bit of white right here. And then what I can do is I can take these and now mix these together. And now what I can do is as I go up into my paint, I've got from light all the way up to something that's a little bit darker. So what we'll do is we'll take the lightest of those colors. I'm just going to tap in here again. Just tap, and I'm holding the brush vertically. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start laying in some trees. And I can just do this by tapping. Just a couple of shapes that I think look like trees way off into the distance. And I'll make one little layer of that. And the more you rub it, the more it's going to mix with some of that white. And the more, even if you want, you can even go into the white, and you can even tap some white in there. So here we go. So now we got that one layer, right? Looks good, right? Well, we can make that look even better. How? I'm going to go back in, and I'm even just going to vary my color a little bit. I'm just going to go in, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that brown. I'm going to go maybe get into a little bit of the darker color, not the dark, but just a little bit darker. Just a little tiny bit darker. I like this one right here. That little area right there is perfect. And what I can do is, now, not everywhere, don't make it perfect, no uniformity, nature's not uniform, so you kind of want to pick and choose. I'm just going to practice one right here. Oh, look at this. Look, oh, look at this one right here. Look at that. Beautiful. Now, you've got another little kind of layer, and it's so far in the distance. Just that slight little tiny variation of darkness really does go a long way. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to take the 1-inch brushes, 2-inch brush again, just because it's a little quicker. And I'm just going to tap that one now. And once you tap that, once again, you're going to get a little bit of mist, and you're going to get all these little things that happen in here. It's great. You can come down in here and kind of smooth that out. And now you've got a whole bunch of way background distant trees. Perfect. Love them. And what I like to do is, now that I'm up here, I'm done with my background. I'm satisfied with it. I think it looks really good. So what I'm going to do is all the areas now where I think I'm going to start putting in some trees. I'm going to wipe off. I know this is crazy, right? Why you just painted that? Why would you be wiping it off? I've never seen other guys do that. Well, I'm doing it. It's a tip that I learned, and I'm going to start coming in here, and I'm going to start rubbing off any paint. It's going to be a lot easier, and it's going to be dry. I know that a lot of people are like, well, that's not, it's wet on wet, right? Well, it's wet on semi-wet. How about that? It's wet on sometimes wet. What I like to do is, I'm just going to take a little bit of the bright yellow here. This is a cadmium yellow. You can use Hansa yellow. There's a lot of different yellows. I'm just going to take maybe a touch of green, not too much. And the first thing I'm going to do is load the brush exactly like I did with these light tones over here. Now again, these are highlights, and I'm going to be putting them on first. So in my mind, I think there's light sort of hitting just the ends of the trees here from the back side. Not from the front side, but from the back. So what I can do is just tap in a couple of areas where I want my highlights to be seen. And on this side, we're going to do the same thing. The light's hitting this way. So what I'll do is I'm going to make a nice big bow coming over here like this. Oh, look at that, right over the sky. You know where I'm going to project this one. Maybe one comes way out. Go back into this dark color. Now I'm using the dark color. Okay, and remember, we wiped off a lot of that paint where we think are trees. And again, this is going to be, we're going to actually cover up, and you'll see how that's going to look as we go. Pop in where you think these trees are going to live. I hope you guys can see all this. Great. And what's going to happen, it'll actually mix a little bit with the yellow, and you can see there's your midtone. There's your midtone right there. That's great. You don't want to lose those. You don't want to overdo. And then we came down, way down low. The horizon was low, and then it kind of came up and swirled up again. So this is kind of what I'm going to do right here. Something like that. I like that. So now we've got to the area where we're sort of done with the trees. Now we have just a lot of grassy areas. And what I like to do is I like to take this. Now, you can tap in. What I like to do is just come in here. You can just kind of get in here. I also like to I like to vary my color a little bit as well. So I'm going to take a little bit more brown from time to time. And you'll see it. Watch. If I put brown, see how that just kind of changed? Block this in here, nice and dark. Nice and dark. And once we start getting up, we start moving back toward the horizon. I'm going to put some highlights there. So let's do that now. Let me grab my light brush. And again, I'm only using a few colors. So we're going to go back into a little bit of the green. We'll bring the green down here into the yellow. And I'm just going to tap just not right on top. I don't want the dark to show through. So I'm going to tap just on the edge. Boom, 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 boom. Just tap on the edge. And now you've got a highlight. without reloading the brush, if I go back and do it again, it's gonna automatically become darker because it just mixed with the paint that I already touched. So the way we do tree limbs here, I will dip my brush into that linseed oil, and now I'm gonna go into a little bit of the brown right here, right into the brown. Come right in here, and we're just gonna paint in just a couple of sticks right here. We'll do another one. I like to do, you know, like this little kind of break outside. Make sure you can see them. You know, a lot of these are gonna get covered up, which is fine. And you know what the trick is? You cover the ones you don't like. That's the secret. So now that we've done that, I've lit up my bush here. Now I'm going to go in, and now I'm going to put some more highlights on these trees. I don't want to go too light on these, so I'm just going to kind of cover up every once in a while. Just make sure I hit that trunk, just a little bit here and there, not everywhere. There's a bush. I don't want this to be light because this would feel like deep woods right here. And we'll just let that down. And then maybe my grass. This is where my grass is going to start. Why not? Let's just do it then. What are we waiting for? There we go. There's a little layer of grass right there. And then the trick is, every once in a while, when you want to see, you don't want it to look like a football field where it's like perfectly flat. You don't want it to come down. Leave breaks. See that little, watch, I'm going to leave a little dark hole right here. Watch this. We're just going to leave that little hole there, and then we'll come back into it. Now it looks like there's a little pocket. Maybe there's a little hole right there. Maybe it's starting to get a little lighter. Let's come over here. Oh, look, this one, the sun's hitting this. Maybe the sun is kind of poking through a little bit. We'll come in this way. We'll go this way. And you just tap them in. Leave those darks. Don't go matte. If you just go matte, you're going to lose that feeling of grass. It's just going to look like a carpet. And you don't want that. Maybe you're in here. I usually go darker on the edges. Let's put just a little bit of color right here. We'll come back in. We're going to go right back into this yellow. So now, and if you want, you can even add a touch of just white. And my white's a little thicker than I like it to be, but that's okay. So here we go. Yellow and white right on the tip of that brush. And I'll start right here where I want it to be the brightest. And I'll just tap and move. Tap and move. And I'll start coming down here. Oh man, that's bright. Look at that. And I'm going to extend this down. And it'll start getting darker as you go. You want it to meet this land over here, right? Well, maybe it meets right here. Maybe these two guys are a brother from another mother, right there. Let's just rub this off right here. I don't like this right here. I don't like the way that looks. I'll go back into my dark color, which is right here. Load it up. That's why it's always good. Try to save your dark color. You always think you're done with it. You're never done with it. So watch this. Let's go in here. There we go. And maybe we can have that bush. Maybe there's another layer here. There we go. And we'll tap. Watch this. Start on the lightest side first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here. Boom, 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 boom. And we'll come right over this. And right over in here. I've just added another layer in front. I've just pushed the tree backward. But see how on the left side of the painting, I've got a lot of those green with blue tones in here. There's a lot of green and blue in here because I feel like it's darker over here. And I feel like when the light shines in here, I can add more green and yellows over here because that's where I want the sun to hit. But I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Show's over. Have a good night and stay safe. Bye-bye.